View from the Gutters, episode 124. Welcome to View from the Gutters, the comic book podcast where each episode we discuss a collected edition, trade paperback, or graphic novel, and then recommend and vote on the book for the next episode. Warning: the discussion portion of this show has massive spoilers for that book. On this episode, we discuss Stumptown, and to skip ahead to the recommendation section, skip to 4519. View from the Gutters, episode 124. I'm Andrew Chard.
I'm Joe Preti.
I'm Kayleigh Fleeman.
And I'm Cade Reynolds.
And it's really warm. It's a warm summer's day.
It's warm, and I think we're looking at like 90s for the rest of the week and next week. And
if you're wondering why it's low energy, it's because we're all sweaty already. And we've only been in here for 20 minutes. So, Get ready for the sweat cast. We should just do this in a sauna. I feel like that would be more relaxing.
I think it would be cooler.
Yeah. It would.
I think it would be a little bit cooler.
Yeah, that's maybe true. But this week, we are discussing... Do we have any announcements? We have episode sponsors, right?
We do have episode sponsors. I think this is the
Toby's
list.
Gone, so we have to do the important work. So,
he's
Addison
slacking.
Appleby.
Yes, Tony Cartero.
Brian.
Addison Appleby, Brian May.
And Brandon Hill.
And Brandon Hill?
Yeah,
yes.
I'm saying all of them, because I don't... Toby with 3 a week is... No, that's out. We only have 4. We'll do 4. One more.
And all our other Patreon supporters.
Yeah.
Because we love you.
Thanks, everybody, who listens as well. We love you, too.
We love you in a very inappropriate way that would be awkward to get into.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know we did that, but yeah, we do.
I mean,
we offer that.
Now it's awkward because you got into it.
3 low payments of $29.99. We will inappropriately love you too.
You can have hot bear man love.
Yep. There you go. But
we have to be inappropriate because Toby's not here, and I feel like it's been a while since we talked about puppet sex.
That's for later in the episode.
When we inevitably derail.
But this week we are talking about Stumptown, which was Brant's pitch.
Yeah.
However, Brant is also not here.
He hates us.
So we read 1, 2, and 3, or at least I did. Did you guys read 1, 2, and 3?
I just read the first. Well, I thought we were just talking about the first one.
Okay.
I just read the first one because that's what Joe gave me.
It was recommended volumes 1 through 3.
Okay, that's
because
fine.
3 had just come out, so that's what I read. But
right. We can talk about volume 1, which is excellent, by the way.
Yes,
I like 3 the best.
I mean, because I really love Justin Greenwood's art.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
However, who wants to start? You guys want to start? Kayleigh? Joe?
No.
I'll
Kayleigh
start.
points at Joe.
So I pretty much everybody, unless you're new, in which case I will.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome to the show. You, our listeners, know that I love detective fiction.
Yes, sir.
I got involved with it when I was in my early teens, and especially hard-boiled noir detective fiction. And Rucka, he knows how to write it, and this is such a. I love this story so much because it's such a nod to Raymond Chandler and Philip Marlowe, who was Chandler's main detective.
So you have like kind of first wave American pulp detectives with like the Maltese Falcon and the Big Sleep, which were popularized by the film, starring Humphrey Bogart as 2 different detectives. He was Maltese Falcon, starred Humphrey Bogart as Sam Spade, who's a completely different character
than Philip Marlowe, who he plays in The Big Sleep with.
Which I still wish he had not played Philip Marlowe.
I like him better as Marlowe.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can fight about that later.
I like him because Spade
Hulk would win, and we can fight about that later.
Hulk would win. I think it's because the way he plays Spade he's too warm.
Really?
I think he's a little too warm. Because
Spade is an asshole.
Yeah, and he's like an iceberg. You know, you only see the very tip. Not that tip. Not the tip. This is not.
I was going to say that just got very dirty.
Yeah.
Boop. I just booped Chard with the little takeaway.
We don't have to talk about that.
Yeah, and Marlowe is always. I've always had a soft spot for Marlowe.
Well, Marlowe's like the people's detective.
Yeah, because Marlowe has a soft spot for helping people,
right.
and he usually gets his ass handed to him as a result of this.
Absolutely.
But
this, however, I feel like, and because Greg has said this in interviews, is a love letter actually to 70s TV detectives, which were kind of the second wave of American detectives. Guys like Spencer, which was the show Spencer for Hire, and the Rockford Files, which this is basically Rucka's Rockford Files.
Right. And it comes out of that tradition. I think guys like Spencer and Jim Rockford come out of the Marlowe tradition.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because you can't have another Sam Spade. You can't root for Sam Spade.
No, and they took what worked in like the 30s, 40s, 50s, and they modernized it to the 70s, which was a very different time in America and in American crime.
Yeah, absolutely.
This I really like because I feel like a lot of modern detective stories, especially the modern private detective stories, tend to be comedies. Like, they're very slapstick, or they're very much, like, poking fun at what used to be, like, a very proud tradition of American literature.
Yes.
And it's good to see series back that are kind of taking it seriously again. And this is definitely not a comedy. It feels very modernized. Like, there are modern things happening. It's set in a very real city of Coast City right outside of Portland. Well, that city's fake, but Portland is a real city.
Portland is... we've been there. Portland is actually a real place.
And it feels very Northwest. There's like lots, especially in the third volume, there's like a lot of Northwest references with like the Portland Timbers games and the Sounders fans and all of that kind of rivalry.
But even in the first one, the letters in the back of the issues, the artist was actually talking about going to Portland and actually sitting in these places and looking around, taking pictures, seeing what you could see from where, because he didn't want to be that artist who, put something in the wrong place, where you walk out of the police station and you look over and there's a bridge, but if in real life that bridge isn't there, then it takes those readers out of it.
Seattle television shows where the Space Needle is just fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
They have like 20 Space Needles.
You're like, that's not what Seattle
and everybody
like.
Can see them out of their apartment windows.
Yeah. Which is not what Seattle is like at all. If you've ever been downtown, good luck seeing the Space Needle.
Seattle only has the Space Needle. Yeah. New York only has the Chrysler Building and the Empire State Building. You can see them from literally anywhere.
Right.
Doesn't matter where your apartment is.
You could see them from Vermont.
Yeah,
but I don't remember which one is which. But one of New York or Chicago has alleyways. I believe it's New York has alleys, and Chicago doesn't really. And so, Chicago natives will talk about how, they can tell if an artist or show is not actually set in Chicago if there's, a lot of alleys or something. I don't remember exactly, but we talk a lot about detective fiction with characters like Spencer being in Boston and V.I. Wachowski is in Chicago, I think.
I think so.
The city becomes a part of that detective story. And that's one thing I really like about this book.
Well, and you see it it plays a huge, I think it's a part, San Francisco in the Maltese Falcon is a huge part of that story. Because I think it's part and parcel with the trade. You don't read a Spencer novel without him talking about Boston.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Boston is such a big part of who Spencer is and where he's going, and
it's a character in and of itself.
Yeah, it really is. And I think you don't just see that; you see that even to the point of some of my favorite Batman stories are about Gotham and what's going on in Gotham, and because Gotham is a living, breathing thing. Like anybody that's lived in a big city knows that. Big cities, they have a rhythm of their own. They
also have the power to help and to impede the detective too, because sometimes it's really helpful for the detective to have all these contacts and like he knows these people and he knows where to go and he has his like friends and family or whatever, but when like traffic's bad or when the weather turns against them, like the city can also be this impediment for the detective solving the case. And I think that that's really cool too. And in volume 3 again, volume 2 has the bridge jump in it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
With the rock star.
They like jump a raised bridge.
Nice.
And that's like such a, like Portland's got tons of bridges over the river and stuff. So that felt very much like a part of the city. So I think that that's really cool.
I almost cried a little when she crashed that classic Mustang off that jump.
Yeah.
But then she got the new Mustang, which is awesome.
So that's totally fine. I do love the scene in the second volume, which you guys didn't read, but there's a scene where the guy's like, oh, this car, too bad the roof leaks. And she's like, it doesn't leak. And then he like cuts a hole in it.
No, that's the first one.
Is that the first
one?
That is the first one,
Yeah, she's like, no,
come on.
it doesn't leak. I just got it fixed.
That's fucking wrong, man.
Yeah, and the detective and their financial problems are all often like a good trope in the detective.
Oh, absolutely.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Although I realized as I was reading this, I don't think I've ever read a detective comic where the detective actually just got paid. It was just like, okay, here's your fee. Mm-hmm. Everything's free and clear. Everything worked out. Like it's, I'll totally pay you, and then that person dies. Or, well, no, you owe me thousands of dollars, so you're going to do this for free.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think my favorite trope is I'm not going to take your fucking money and be your bag man.
Yeah.
Because that's a big one more. I mean, Spencer kind of gets into it because I think Spencer...
well, if he doesn't like the client,
he's not going to... He'll be like, take $10,000 and look the other way. And he's like, I already took somebody's $50.
I took $1 from a little girl, so that's enough to beat you up.
That's all I'm doing.
I like it too in Spencer novels because sometimes he'll have to find somebody and then he'll find them and then he's like, I actually don't want to tell the person that hired me where they're at, so like, I'll give their feedback. And they're like, what do you...
I'm not going
to tell you where the person is that I found. But yeah, I like the opening of the story is pretty classic with like the losing in the casino. You're out all this money. You have two options. You're going to do this job or you're going to pay me all this money. I know you don't have the money. So go find my granddaughter or daughter. Granddaughter. And then immediately the counter offer from the evil businessman of like, no, do it for me instead and I'll give you way more. Mm-hmm. Because when the detective's scruples are kind of called into... I don't know.
Question.
Yes. I think that makes for a better story. I mean,
that shows you who the character is.
Part of the whole struggle of being a detective is like doing what's right rather than what makes you...
Yeah, well, and detectives never operate like on the right side of the law. Mm-hmm. They're always in sort of like the slimy underbelly, and that's the world that they're involved in. So it's important to have a character portrayed as having this integrity and having these morals, because otherwise they're just another... Even
if they're kind of like their own set of morals.
Because that's what's always interesting to me is the trope is so often, it's not that they have morals, it's that they have a very strict set of their own morals, which is usually a little bit counter, so they're not going to go and call a crime in if they can glean a piece of the puzzle they're looking for.
Right. Like they're not opposed to breaking and entering and covering up evidence if they feel like it's in to help someone who needs help,
And this is one of the interesting differences to me between people like Jim Rockford and Spencer, and who come strongly out of that Marlowe tradition, because Sam Spade does not give a fuck. He doesn't care about the law. His morality is me first and fuck everybody else.
Yeah, he's very unique.
Yeah, which is weird because he's almost the archetype.
Well, Marlowe is the archetype.
I think Marlowe does. I think what happens is that people want to lump him in there because of the Maltese Falcon.
Right.
And because even though that... I think because of the way Bogart plays him, he comes off as a little bit more sympathetic.
Yeah, in the movie, he's the archetype, but not in the book.
Yeah, even though, like, Billy, like the scriptwriter for that script, basically took the book and changed a few lines here and there, mostly that alluded to
the relationship
Gutman's Gunsel being homosexual.
Well, and also the implied relationship between Archer's wife and Sam Spade, right? Is that
no, that's definitely in there.
Is it? Okay.
Oh yeah, because she comes to him in the office.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, he plays him as like a little bit of a warmer character, and Philip Marlowe at the end of The Big Sleep, basically like he's solved the case, and the client is like, "Okay, I'm ready to pay you now. Tell me everything that happened," and he's like, "I can't actually tell you."
Yeah, I mean,
and he doesn't take the money, and that's a huge trope in detective fiction now because of that one very influential book.
Yeah, and at the end of that book, nobody's happy. Mm-hmm. It's not like when Holmes solves the mystery and it's like, oh, it's a foot and blah blah blah, and Lestrade
it's not
is
Poirot like getting everyone in the room and it's like, I have solved it. Like,
it's hollow and it's empty, and it leaves you feeling like off kilter for the rest of the day because people are bastards to each other.
Yeah.
And Marlowe is more times than not, and Spencer and Jim Rockford more often than not, just is trying to sort out what's going on.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I like about this too, is that I like that tradition. I like feeling that the world is not a magical place where you can go outside and open up your shirt pocket and Skittles will fall inside, and then you have a little snack for later, and you pet a kitty down the street.
Well, is that not what happens?
Maybe only you.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I'm feeling a little weird here.
So that brings me to an interesting point. This is your intervention. You need to stop taking peyote.
I need to stop with the Skittles, or is that what you're saying?
Yeah, this is a Skittle mention. The other thing I like about this is because she's not like taking a fee for this case, it doesn't feel like it doesn't really feel like she wins at the end.
Yeah.
She's just kind of righted the ship a little bit.
Yeah.
It just kind of gets her back on her feet a little bit. It solves one of her many problems. Mm-hmm. And something I really like in the third volume is they start to poke at her background a little bit, and they're like, why, you were in the military for so long, why'd you leave, what happened, what's all this? And
yeah, you could have been a colonel, why'd you leave a captain?
Yeah, and I think the longer this series goes on, and I read the very first volume of the new one, which is the cup of coffee, the case of the coffee caper, I don't know what it's called.
I didn't read that.
Yeah, the very first issue of the next volume is out, and it's really good as well. So I'm like super excited to learn more about this character, because another part of detective fiction, I think, that is the strongest part of the tradition is when an author will take a character and write them for years. You know, you have 30...
and the character always grows.
Yeah,
the character will later get married in volume in book number 10,
right?
And then by book 20 has a couple of kids.
Yeah.
You know, like
there's like 33 Spencer novels. There's like 13 Easy Rollins, Walter Mosley novels. There's a ton of Marlowe novels. I mean, V.I. Wachowski has a bunch of novels too.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool to see them age and change, and the way that they are a detective change, and like who's in their life kind of rotates through. And I'm super excited for Greg to take a crack at like a long-term character like this, because I love Whiteout to death.
Oh, Whiteout's great,
but it is essentially one volume, and that's it. And we don't get any more Carrie. And I like this character more than I like Carrie, actually, in a way.
I really like Dex because she is funny.
Yeah.
She's she has a lot of shit going on, but she's a very lighthearted character in some ways, in a way that feels really real. Like, I actually was having this conversation with my brother the other night about people who say that, like, oh, I'm just sarcastic, but they're really, like, mean-spirited.
Yeah.
I feel like she is genuinely a sarcastic person and isn't necessarily mean-spirited, except for when she is deliberately. And at the end of this volume that we read, there's like a little one-off issue where she's getting her car repaired and can't pay for it. And so the mechanic's like, oh, well, I've got something that you can do. And so she just starts fucking with this guy so that he'll pay the mechanic back. And it's like, sneaks up behind his date and like pulls down her shirt, and she thinks that it was him. So she slaps him and tells like loudly declares that he has an STD in front of another date, and she slaps him and leaves. And at the end of it, she's like, I can keep doing this. Like, I'm just getting started. And I love that. It was great.
Yeah. She's a very interesting character, and I think that Greg sometimes gets wrongfully criticized for writing the same character in every book. And I think I will always defend that that's not the case, because I don't think Batwoman is anything like Carrie from Whitehead. I don't think she's anything like Tara Chase. I don't think they're anything like Dex. I think they all are very unique, and I think to not recognize that is like a disservice to that writer. But I also feel like it's interesting because the settings are so different.
Oh, yeah,
like Tara Chase is in a government position, like it is a very strict and rigid kind of hierarchy, and Carrie is 100% surrounded by men. Like, it's a very different world and a very different mindset for that character. It's one of the reasons I don't think she's funny, is because she's up in Antarctica basically living with a ton of men, and there's like a lot of fear there. And one of the things I really like about Stumptown are the massive number of female characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I think what happens is, like, Greg Rucka kind of has this pool of characters that he pulls from and that he creates his characters from. And they are strong, I'm doing air quotes, female characters. And so people say, oh, well, he keeps writing the same character. And I wonder if these characters were male, like if people, they wouldn't even, they really wouldn't even think that.
I mean, the entire Silver Age of superhero comics is
yeah. And I think it's not just that, like, I don't think they feel cookie cutter in the way that Silver Age superheroes feel cookie cutter, where it's like you could basically put Batman's cowl on Green Lantern and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between them. Not in the art, but in the writing.
He'd be wearing a different costume, Chard.
But obviously, the way that they talk, you know, they're just like, hey, chum, what's up, buddy? Like, they don't really have defining character traits. But I think that's something that's so strong about these is they do have defining character traits. I do feel like if I read a line of dialogue from one or another, I would know them differently. And I said before on an episode that I think the tragedy is not that Greg writes well-rounded female characters, it's that no one else is doing it. So that's why his characters keep getting called into, like, oh, they're the same. This is Greg's like a one-trick kind of thing, and I don't think that's the case. I think it's just it stands out as unique because no one else is really doing it.
Yeah,
I was not reminded of Tara Chase.
Yeah, Tara Chase. It's Chase.
Yeah,
okay,
Chase.
I don't really remember. But I was not reminded of her at all reading this. In fact, reading this, I was more reminded of some, like, decade-old TV shows or novels more than any other comic character he's ever written.
Yeah, in a weird way, this kind of reminds me of like a Malcolm Reynolds type character, where it's like they do the right thing for all the wrong reasons, and sometimes they're the right reasons, and it kind of just works out eventually, but it's more often than not, it's like, my family
He has the
first.
highest luck roll of any character I've ever seen.
You know,
Bugs Bunny.
Wile E. Coyote's still alive. The brother character, Axel, I think will come out. This is kind of what she said in the third volume is like why she left the military. I think more is going to come out about that, but it's clear that he's super important to her, despite the fact that she leaves him alone all the time. And I think that that's a really important relationship too for the detective, are the people in their lives. How did you guys feel about Axel? He's not in a ton of the first volume.
He's in a little bit.
Was it?
It's Ansel.
Ansel?
Yeah.
I can't
Axel
read.
is the singer.
That is a singer.
No, he's the singer.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
But not the singer
for
from the
all
second trade.
bands. No, I thought it was really neat, and it kind of shows that family relationship. I think there's usually an assumption that, well, if you're related to somebody who has Down syndrome or who has a like mental disability, then they require constant supervision. You can't leave. They're essentially a toddler, and da-da-da. And it's a really harmful attitude to take. And he's really not. He's... Right. You know,
he has a job. We find that out in a later volume.
First volume, actually. He has a job.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he works at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Which we see him at later, in a later volume.
Yeah, it just hints that he has a job. But, and, like, he has interests. He has people that he talks to. He gets in arguments with people. Like, in the first volume, she's like, I don't want you talking to that Captain Cold guy.
Yeah.
Like, getting in fights. And, you know, like... Surprise, surprise, they're people, and it's nice to have a comic that treats it that way. And that was a little bit of my problem with Ghost Rider, at least in the all new Ghost Rider, the first few issues. I felt like Gabe wasn't a person; he was a burden, and that definitely got a lot better.
Right.
But I feel like this starts out strong. But
yeah, I do too. I think he's a really interesting character and an interesting part of her life too, and I'm excited to meet the rest of her family because we meet her sister in volume 4. Spoilers. You guys haven't gotten that far yet.
Nope.
No, I really like how much Ansel grew as a character.
Yeah.
I mean, even book 3 was when we go out and we find that he does have friends. Like there are people who do things with him. He's not one of the, stay-at-home Down syndrome kids.
No, he's very capable, and he has a job that he goes to, and he can stay at home alone. He just doesn't like to. We find that out. Like, no, he doesn't have to be babysat. He just likes people. He likes company.
I didn't like Gray as a character.
Yeah.
Not after the 3rd volume.
Yeah. So Gray's her neighbor, which I didn't realize until later.
Wait, he is?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because I thought he was just her friend, but I guess that's in volume 4 that you find out that he's the neighbor, maybe, or like lives nearby. Anyway, but he will hang out with Ansel. But he's a studio musician, so he works weird hours and stuff. But he'll hang out, and he's friends with Dex. But I'm starting to wonder if he had a little bit of a romantic past with Dex, perhaps, or just like he wants it to be that way.
That's kind of what I got from the first issue, like just based on the art. She would like kiss him on the cheek and say like, "Oh, you're such a sweetie," and he definitely makes like a face, and that's deliberate. And so it's and I'm betting on something like an unrequited love or something.
He gets a little jealous in a later volume of some stuff, and it's like, so what exactly is there? Is there a past, or is it all just like conjecture? Like, is he just like, I really like her and she's not reciprocating kind of deal? But it's interesting, and I'm so excited that there's going to be more of this, and we'll get to learn more about these characters that have strong introductions, but they're definitely deeper than they first appear. I think that's cool.
Well, that was the great thing about the Marlowe stories and the Spencer stories. There's probably 5 times as many Spencer books as there are Marlowe stories.
Yeah.
But it really became about it becomes about Spencer and Susan and Hawk and the people that
Paul.
he's close to, and Paul, who all become great characters.
And Nelson and
just
like the whole cast.
There's about 10 of them that by the end, when Robert B. Parker passed away, he had kind of had a roster of. But and the great thing is that it sets you up for like, there's a book where Susan leaves Spencer. There's a book where he has to go and get her because she's being held like the guy she leaves Spencer for is basically this.
He's a gangster.
He's a gangster, yeah. And Spencer's got to go and rescue her. And like, there's stories where he goes and helps Hawk because Hawk needs help. And like, there's a story where people help him because in one story he gets shot and like has to recover. And
Susan and Hawk rehabilitate him.
Yeah, and like it's because you've been reading and because every story is an opportunity not just for Spencer to go out and be a badass and punch people, but it's also a window into his life. And that's what I like about it, is it gives you it's a serialized narrative told over 30 years.
Yeah.
And I think that you can really get it's a great way to grow close to a character.
Yeah.
and that's kind of what I'm excited about it. I haven't had a chance to read 2 or 3 yet because I've been poor.
Oh, they're so good,
but
man.
I want them. I mean, I was a huge fan of this. I still am. I pitched it first. Brant, yeah. She come in and
take that.
It's all
good. Get it. What are we talking about?
I don't even know. And I'm going to be honest, I read this I read it recently. Mm-hmm. I did not read it in time for this because work has been an absolute shit show lately. And I've been fucking running around like a chicken with my head cut off. But I enjoy the thought of Greg sticking with this character.
Yeah, me too.
Because he does it with Tara Chase, and she's awesome. But also,
I hope he never stops writing Stumptown.
Yeah, it's something that he could write for the next 10 or 15 years and come out with.
I would love to see Greg write this for the next 50 years.
Well, yeah, but he's. I mean, it's okay if people get. I mean, it would be cool to see him write this book in perpetuity.
Yeah,
but
so far we've had really good luck with it. We can talk about the art a little bit, but Matthew Southworth did not continue after Volume 2, and I think one of the issues was just timeliness and quality, probably. But we've seen consistency with Justin Greenwood. Those 5 issues came out for Volume 3. They took a little hiatus. They came back. They're doing Volume 4 now. It seems like they're on a good clip of stuff coming out. So even if he's not writing for the next 50 years, I hope we get a lot more issues out of this. It seems like they're on pace for a lot of really good stuff. How did you guys feel about Southworth's art?
Oh, I
loved it.
Really? It's fucking perfect.
No,
There was some of it I really liked, and I really liked his artist journal at the end of each issue, because you can see from the photos he took from the. Apparently, he did a lot of toy cars and stuff.
Yeah, he does a lot of photo reference because he'll use SketchUp to create the apartment, so he can draw it from different angles, and he uses models in the way not quite the same way that Tony Harris does, but
I had a much better appreciation for the art after reading those, but I still think that the 3rd volume,
Justin Greenwood.
Justin Greenwood
did
The Fuse.
Yes.
Yeah, and his facial expressions are so good. That was one of the problems I had with the first couple volumes. Is it reminded me of Alias a little bit, where it's super thick line art. It's really a little bit muddy, and some of the facial expressions I felt just didn't quite match up in the way that I hoped.
Yeah, you couldn't always read the emotion.
There's a couple really weird panels of Dex's face where I'm just
sometimes I felt like the face was different.
Yeah.
And that drove me a little crazy. Yeah. But for the most part, I feel like his style really worked.
Yeah, I like the the layouts and the way that the car chase in Volume 2 is really good, and there's a good sense of dynamic action. It doesn't feel static ever. It feels.
Although some of the panels where it's supposed to be static did look actiony, which I noticed. It's she's parked in a car on a stakeout, and it looks like she's going 100 miles an hour. It's that shouldn't be.
And I like the color palette choices in the first couple volumes too.
I mean, I'm not trying to give it a hard time. I think that it was very well done. It was...
Yeah.
It fit the tone of the story.
Yeah, I think...
it was a great book.
Yeah, I think it's not... It's not that I have a huge problem with it. It's just that after seeing Volume 3, I'm a little bit less of... I'm not as much of a fan of it as I was at first. I really like the first 2, but now that I see, what it...
Could look like.
What it could have been.
Really dynamic and really a little bit brighter and a little bit more unique panel layouts and stuff. I'm okay, cool. This is evolving in a way that I like. So it's not that it is bad. It is that the evolution has been cool. So there is a little bit of the line art in the first couple that feels a little too thick, and I've talked about it a lot. But I'm a bigger fan of the more modern style where there is little to no inking.
Yes.
And it's more just straight up colors, more like Phil Noto on Black Widow kind of jams. or something
It
like
is-
very stylized, like Pretty Deadly. Like those are kind of
Right.
like my camps I like to live in.
I think what I liked about it is the feeling it evoked. Like I feel like the art evokes well, I'm trying to think how to say this. Fuck. It suits the storyline, like the kind of the style of the art, the colors. I really like the colors in this. I think it would have been really easy, like with everything noir, to just make it really dark, and call it noir. And I'm like, no, it's like it's very important in noir. Noir is not necessarily about darkness; it's about shades of gray. It's about like fuzziness, right? And I think that.
But remember, like, the noir was black and white because that was the technology.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they didn't want it to look like that. I mean, like, it is dark. They played with shadow and light because that's what works best in black and white.
Absolutely. And now something springs to mind is Twilight with Paul Newman and James Garner and Susan
With
Sarandon.
Edgar?
Huh?
The vampire? Edgar
No. This was a movie called Twilight that came out 5 or 6 years.
Sure, it's not.
I'm positive.
Pretty sure there's a vampire. And there's like at
It's
least
an
one Dracula in that movie.
It's an older Paul Newman.
Okay.
And he's he's basically is friends with this rich couple who hire him to go and find their wayward daughter, played by Reese Witherspoon. Because I am suddenly Sylvester the cat.
What happened to you?
I don't fucking know what happened. Reese Witherspoon.
There you go.
And he gets kind of embroiled in this whole thing that's going on. I can't remember exactly what it is, but I remember thinking that it was incredibly ballsy for somebody to make a hard-boiled detective story in like the late 90s. Wait, early 2000s? I'm going to look this up while I keep talking, but...
the 90s were not a few years ago, Joe.
Hey, you shut up,
That
okay?
show on the internet. Can't find better quality than this.
The thing is...
no way.
I
You're sure you're not thinking of Moonstruck?
I'm going to come over there.
Bruce Willis?
Charmed had vampires, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it Charmed?
Yeah.
It was not...
The Craft?
Jesus Christ. What the...
While Joe is furiously Googling, I have no idea what your point was there, and I'm sure no one else does.
My point was that
I lost it.
while originally noir was black and white,
Yes.
and so you could effectively play with shadows and like literal black and white.
Light and shadow.
Literal light and shadow.
Yeah.
Noir darkness is not like physical darkness and darkness of scene are two different things.
Yes.
You can have an incredibly well lit movie that's a noir picture because it's directed in a way that it's about the darkness inside people. Not I think there's a tendency to take it literally and make everything dark. And that's kind of what I was getting at. I understand that I fucking rabbit trailed all over that thing.
I just
Because
wasn't
I'm
sure where you were
tired,
going.
and I
gotcha.
think I have fucking heat stroke.
But I think that it's something we saw
I
with
think,
early Tarantino, too, is like Reservoir Dogs is like crime noir in a way, but that movie's super brightly lit
yeah,
to the point where like it doesn't look like noir or a crime story. And I think that's kind of what made it successful in a weird way. But
a recent example would be House of Cards. Very beautiful, bright sets, like lots of color, but it's a fucking dark show.
yeah, and I think that color is a very different medium than black and white.
Oh,
obviously,
Jesus
you know,
Christ.
in black and white you have light and shadow to play with, and that's kind of about it. But color is a world of tonality, and especially with post-production color correction and the advancements in film, what is it, color tinting or whatever it's called, you have a lot of room to play with making something look really beautiful while something horrific is happening in front of you. I think
like,
Mad Max is a great example of that.
Or Hannibal.
Yeah, where you have just these like well-lit, bright scenes, but you have Furiosa kneeling in the desert just screaming.
Yeah.
And the mood it evokes is very different than a mood of black and white.
There's
color can play with your emotions.
What is it called? The Insomnia. I cannot remember who directed it, but it's got Stellan Skarsgård in it, and it's the original. I think it's a Swedish
Susan
film. Susan Sarandon and
I don't know
that guy. And the thing happens, and then
it's the worst show
Joe,
on the
stop.
internet.
No, it's a movie. So Chris Nolan remade it. Insomnia. He remade it with Al Pacino and Robin Williams.
Okay,
and
it was a great movie.
It's about a detective. Well, the remake I think is shit. I think the original is far better. It takes place in the upper part of Sweden during the summer, where it's light 24 hours a day, and it's a murder mystery. It's a drama, and so it's always light. But because of the subject matter, it's a very dark film. You don't have to have dark. Like, people take things too literally these days.
No, I got
And
it.
it was Twilight in 1998, so I'm like the age of the dinosaurs. We all fucking knew that already.
Yeah.
But it takes place in California, and it's always bright there.
Well, think about movies like L.A. Confidential.
Yeah, exactly. Which
like-
is fucking beautifully shot.
Yeah.
And that movie was so, like,
And it's kind of
just gut-wrenching.
I like
so fucking
some
good.
of the scenes from this. I really like when she confronts the gang leader, MS-13. What is it? Is that the gang?
I know.
Oh, yeah,
He's like a
it's-
former gang member.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of on his own little thing right now. The guy who tries to hire her.
Marenko.
Yeah. When she meets with him and it's like super well lit, it's like dusk and the sun's just going down and everything's very orange and like his daughter's diving in the pool and like all that I think is just absolutely beautiful. And yet, because of the paper it's printed on and because of the color palette, like I still feel like those moods could have been evoked a little bit stronger. I like the coloring in this, but I feel like it does get a little muddy sometimes, I think. And I do think that sometimes it is dark for darkness' sake, and we could get a little bit better lit stuff.
Yeah.
Especially scenes which are inside.
Yeah.
That
That's
don't,
fair.
I mean, you're in a room. It doesn't need to be dark in there. And I think the heavy shadows really play into whoever was coloring the book's choice of palette.
Yeah.
In that they were like, oh, well, the shadows are like super heavy and dark. Like, this is a dark room, and it didn't need to be.
You know what,
that's
Chard?
fair.
Maybe their electricity got turned off.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's just the first couple volumes, a lot of it's pretty dark.
It
and
is.
The colorist in the third volume is much brighter, and I like it.
I did want to mention something, and that is this book's positive portrayal of bisexual characters.
Yeah, we don't know about Dex yet, but I feel like
Well, we kind of do. There were hints that she's seen girls in the past, but
Right.
you've got Isabella, you've got the detective Hoffman, and CK. At least in the third book, you've got CK.
Right.
But like, this book is filled with like sexuality, but not overt sexuality.
well, and it doesn't feel like it's there to titillate either. This
exactly
is just a part of
it's
their
just
character.
like this character is a real person.
Yeah.
Sometimes real people are bisexual.
Absolutely.
Who knew?
And, yeah, I think this book's full of good representation, not only for different genders and different sexualities, but also people of color in the book in strong roles too. So they're not. It could easily be that like, oh, the Hispanic gang and like they're all bad guys, but it doesn't. You know, bad guys, air quotes. They're all breaking the law, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels like there's a wide variety, a spectrum of characters in there. And you meet some cool characters in
I liked the
volumes
drummer
3.
from the volume 2.
Volume 2, yeah.
He made me laugh, even though I don't think he was supposed to, but he did.
I think he was. I think he's
Okay.
funny. Yeah, and the friend she makes that she plays soccer with in Volume 3 is another interesting character, too. So, I don't know. I think this book is full of the Northwest, and I feel like it feels good.
Well, it's as much a love letter to Portland as it is to the genre it comes from.
Yeah.
And that's kind of...
Well, and it goes back to what we were saying. Like, Portland in this book is a character in and
Yeah.
of itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anything else you guys wanted to say about the book before we...
Oh,
No.
good.
I think I hit all my points.
Cool. We liked it. Recommend
Yeah,
it.
it's good. I
say
totally
read,
recommend. I mean,
read the rest.
if you like if you like detective fiction, if you like Greg Rucka,
Yeah, if you've never read
yeah,
detective fiction, I feel like this is a good gateway drug
yeah.
because it is good.
And I think that one of my favorite things about Greg Rucka is that you can criticize him as you will. I won't agree with you that much, but I think that one of the things he does really well is he's thoughtful about his characters. And I really think that speaks well of him because it feels... one of the things I hate the most is when you're reading something and you have a character that doesn't feel like it was like the author was like, well, I want to tell this story, but I need this character right here to kind of be there for this other thing to happen. So I'm just going to throw him in. Like, I don't ever feel that way, or I very rarely feel that way with Greg Rucka's stuff, and I never feel that way with this.
Yeah, it's pretty thoughtful.
So I think that's an awesome thing.
Absolutely. So, let's move on to recommendations.
Yes.
We have a Patreon supporter level recommendation this week from hashtag #1 Chard fan Brandon Hill. It's a real thing. It's patented. Patent pending.
Hash Brown.
Copyright? Trademark. Whatever.
Hash
One of
Brown,
those.
#1 Chard fan.
Hash Brown, #1 Chard fan. That is correct. It should be like Chard, #1 Hash Brown fan. Because I love a hash brown. But yeah, so Brandon recommends to us Umbrella Academy, Volumes 1 and 2 by Gerard Way and Gabriel Ba, which is one of my favorite books. I believe it's Dark Horse.
I thought it was Image.
And it's not Image. I would have snapped it
I'll
up.
look it up.
It's IDW or
you
Dark
know-
Horse. It's one of those two. And it's about there are these 5 kids, and this rich man adopts them because they have potential. And he's like, someday you will be superheroes and you'll save the world. And they all grow up with these superpowers and training and all this. And then they're like, so when does the world saving happen? And nothing really
And he's
happens.
like,
and so then they kind of like age past their prime, past their like time to what they thought was save the world. And then some crazy shit happens. And then in volume 2, there's time travel and Kennedy assassinations.
Stockbrokers?
And dudes in weird masks and stuff. And it's really good. And I love it. And it is an excellent comic. And everyone should read it.
It was Dark Horse.
Thank you. I win.
Eat.
So 2 volumes.
Yep.
Okay.
That's all there is. That's all she wrote.
Well, it
he
seems like
wrote-
Wikipedia is saying that volume 3 is out, but it's also in the
wonderful
works.
man wrote.
He's all right.
I love him.
He's an all right guy. I like him.
He's adorable.
Yes, he is. So, yeah, Gabriel Ba does the art on this, but Gerard Way of My Chemical Romance
Yep.
fame, and also DC Intern back in the early 2000s. Or late 90s, early 2000. But yeah. So everybody check out Umbrella Academy. It's super good. But Joe, what are you recommending this week?
I have a redemption pick, and it was something you pitched back on like episode 7 or 6, 5.
Wow.
Yeah, it's from a while ago. I'm gonna pitch The Killer by Mads and Luc Jacquemont,
Yeah.
which is about a guy that saves lives for. No, it's not.
No,
It's about a killer.
he's a
It's
killer.
about a hitman.
Yes.
And it's beautifully drawn, and it's a really cool story.
French.
It is
originally.
French, yeah, so it's translated. It's put out Archaea by Archaea.
Archaea.
Yeah, something, whatever. And
We talk about them all the time.
Yeah.
yeah, we do, and it's they released an omnibus, which you can get on both volumes, which is what I'm pitching, 1 and 2.
They're
I think there's 4 altogether,
yeah.
but I'm pitching 1 and 2.
excellent, which I think is the first volume of the like oversized.
Yeah,
collections.
which is I think there's there's 2 omnibus volumes, and the first one is 1 and 2.
Cool.
But yeah, it's basically just about a French hitman and kind of
how he got started
and what he's doing, and it's really great. It's beautifully drawn, and it's a lot of fun. It is dark, but it's dark in the way that we were talking about, so it's not literally dark.
Yeah, the colors in this book are absolutely fucking gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
It's what drew me to this. It's funny because I'll give this to people. I'll be like, this is a really good book. You guys should check it out. And they'll hand it back to me like, what is wrong with you? Like, that's some fucked up shit I just read.
But it is good. I mean, I
think it's excellent.
And I was talking to somebody about this the other day about good movies versus well-made movies. Mm-hmm. And I took a film class a few years ago, and I was talking about Deliverance, and Kirby said, "What is Deliverance?" And I was like, in my mind, I thought, "Oh, it's this really great movie," and I'm like, "It's not a good movie." Like, if somebody was like, "What movie can I watch to be entertained?" I would not say Deliverance. No. If they said, "What movie can I watch that'll make me slightly sick to my stomach, but thoughtful about the state of man and our relationship with nature," I'd be like, "Oh, Deliverance, probably."
And also, we'll get dueling banjos stuck in your head for the rest of your life.
Well, that goes without saying. But I think that The Killer, while not good in the sense of that you'll put it down and then like skip off into your fucking day, it may not feel the best, but it is incredibly well executed.
Absolutely.
And it is a monument to the medium that we all love and gather here in this sauna-like room to speak about once a week.
Which is getting hotter and hotter by the minute.
Yeah,
you'd think it'd be getting cooler because it's nighttime now.
No, but it's not happening.
No.
I'm
the walls
dying.
are radiating all the heat that they've absorbed during the day.
Well, the hottest point during the day was like an hour before we recorded. So it's starting to cool down, and it will be cooled down by midnight.
Perfect.
Just in time for me to be freezing because I left my window open.
Yeah, and we love European comics, so
we do.
Is a great European comic.
Yeah.
In the strong tradition of European
comics.
Bring
a different sensibility, which I like.
Yeah, agreed. Kayleigh.
Okay, I am bringing basically a kit recommendation.
Ooh. Well, does that mean she'll be on the show if we pick it?
I'm sure you could not keep her out of this room if we pick it.
All right. I would love to see that.
Yep. It's Daredevil Volume 1 and 2 by Mark Waid.
Ooh.
Basically after he's been more or less unmasked. And he comes back to New York and is trying to resume his practice, and everybody's like, "You're Daredevil," and he's like, "I'm not. That's not me."
This is a different Mark Waid run than the one we did previously.
Did we do this one?
We did.
Because I did this one out of the fridge.
No, we've done this. We've pitched it before, or we've talked about it.
You've talked about
Daredevil, yeah.
The Mark Waid one?
Haven't we? Yes, we did.
We did.
Because we had an argument about the blind kids.
Yes, because...
When did you talk about it?
I don't know, like a year ago.
Somebody needs to look at the page.
I don't remember these things.
Do you want to pitch Volume 2? We haven't talked about Volume 2.
When he gets his sweet pimp costume? The Daredevil.
Sure, because I didn't.
Well,
okay, you know what?
Have you not seen it?
No.
He wears like a sweet, like all red suit, and he has like a can. Like he looks like the Daredevil PIMP. Like
oh god,
sweet.
All right, well, I'm gonna just change my recommendation.
PIMP
because I thought that we had not done this one yet. So I'm sorry to the listeners.
I know we did it on Out of the Fridge. I couldn't remember.
We definitely did it here. Yes.
All right. Well,
okay.
Who knows?
So I'm instead going to be pitching Afterlife with Archie, which is a horror comic, and I'm pitching it because Toby isn't here.
Did
and can't
we do that one?
No, I pitched it.
Okay,
I pitched it, but we didn't do it.
Yeah, we pitched it. I had to borrow it, and I loved every minute of it. It was an amazing book.
Super great. It's everything I love about like in a horror comic where it's actually fun. And this
sad and horrific.
Well, it's a little bit, but it's
campy horror movies of the 80s.
Yeah,
but it's dark.
Yeah, it is dark, and it has a lot of that like modern sensibility in its darkness.
Gorgeous art.
But yeah, and the colors are amazing, and I just really love it.
Yeah.
So that's my pitch.
It is fantastic.
And you get to see beloved Archie characters die.
Yeah.
Which everybody loves.
And then kill other beloved Archie characters. So it's a never-ending cycle of fun.
Absolutely.
You don't need to know who any of the characters are to read this. But
If you've never read Archie, you're totally cool with this. So it's a great jumping on point to itself. It's self-contained.
Yeah.
It doesn't tie in with anything else. Cade, what would you like to pitch this week?
Well, I had a pitch, but now I had a question. Is the third volume of Luther Strode out yet?
No.
Okay, then
only one issue.
Huh?
Only one, maybe 2 issues have come out of the Legend of Luther.
Oh, okay. Dang it! I've been wanting to pitch that.
I'm totally gonna bring it when all 3 of them are out. So don't worry.
It'll be our first revisit.
So
we didn't talk about it.
No, we didn't. We talked about the first.
No, we didn't.
Oh, we didn't. Did we
didn't
not
talk about it?
It's been pitched like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, we never talked about it. I lent it to you after that.
That's wonky.
But we never talked about it.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it.
Maybe I had a whole conversation in my head about it.
You do that a lot, so. But so instead, you are bringing.
What was I bringing?
Green Arrow.
Green Arrow. Yes, my favorite superhero. So I originally wanted to talk about the Quiver storyline, the very controversial, but whatever. Storyline by Kevin Smith, but I actually want to talk about the first 3 trades. So volume 1 is 10 issues. That's Quiver itself, which explains Oliver Queen coming back from the dead and all this other
my favorite thing when
crazy DC continuity. Volume 2 is also by Kevin Smith. I don't actually remember what happens in it, but it's called Sounds of Violence.
It's the,
It's Automatopoeia.
Yes, thank you. The Batman villain.
Yes, it is. Okay. Yeah. I now remember that one. But then the 3rd volume, which was Brad Meltzer's first comic ever, and another huge Green Arrow fan, did the trade called The Archer's Quest, which is one of my favorite comics ever. So... those 3 trades, it's 1 through 21 of Green Arrow Volume 3.
Sweet.
That I want to talk about. It's some good stuff. Like I said, controversial, but, I mean, it's Kevin Smith. A lot of people hate him.
Yeah.
Some people like him.
More than some. I think a lot of people. He's pretty popular. I don't know.
A lot of people
He's not
like
my
him.
favorite person, but he has fans.
He does. I'm one of them.
Yeah. I like his An Evening with Kevin Smith. He's a good storyteller.
He is.
Yeah, I actually have a poster from the first issue of his Daredevil miniseries that only ever had 1 issue published.
No, he wrote all of...
Daredevil Bullseye?
No, I'm thinking of Daredevil...
right.
Guardian Devil.
He did do the Guardian Devil, which I have and I've pitched on the show. But he was also doing a miniseries, Daredevil Bullseye something. And only 1 issue came out, and then they kicked him off the project. And I have the poster... that was announcing the series that never ended up happening. Out? Yeah, weird. I have the first issue.
Crazy. Love it when that happens.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, that's my pitch.
Sweet.
DC convoluted superhero storyline.
Late 90s, early 2000s?
2001.
Okay. Cool. So after he wrote Guardian Devil. I think. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway,
Maybe.
Google it. However, this week I'm bringing another Image book, and I am bringing a Kurt Busiek book, and I love Kurt Busiek a lot, so I'm really excited. And it is called The Autumn Lands, Volume 1. It was originally called Tooth and Claw. This is fantasy with anthropomorphic animal people. And there's like all these wizards that live in this sweet sky city. And they're like, what would be really cool is if we like brought about this fabled champion of time and space or whatever, the savior, legendary hero.
Well, yeah, that's what you do on a Friday night when you're bored and a wizard.
Let's get tanked and try to bring back a legendary hero. So anyway, like all these wizards get together and they are like, let's bring the hero back. And they kind of do, but they also wreck everything, basically. And it's awesome, and I love it. And it's not, they get a hero, but it's not what they expected, and a whole bunch of other horrible shit happens, and it's really cool. And it's fantasy and magic and wizards, and there's all these really cool pages that appear to be from novels that never existed. A lot of it, I think, is playing with like fiction and literature as like a alternate reality kind of a feel to it. So there's definitely a lot going on there that has yet to be explored. But the first volume is 6 issues, and it's an Image verse, so it's $10. So everybody check it out. I really enjoy it. And the art's absolutely amazing. It's done by Benjamin Dewey, who I don't know from anything else, but it's fantastic. And colors by Jordi Belair, who we love.
Oh, well, shit.
So it's a damn pretty book. But Joe, what
was that called?
Autumn Lands, The Autumn Lands, Volume 1, Tooth and Claw. The first issue was just called Tooth and Claw, and then when the second issue came out, they changed the title to The Autumn Lands. I don't know why, but they did. But Joe.
So I really enjoy that run of Green Lantern.
Arrow?
Green Arrow?
Arrow.
I like
fucking Green.
I like
Hero.
the Green Hornet as much as the next guy.
I like Green Bandana Dude. So as much as I want to read that run of the Hulk, as much as I want to run that read of God damn it,
Joe, get more sleep.
It's not. It doesn't. Not. There is no sleep that is enough. Oh God, there's just no sleep that's enough. As much as I would like to read that Green Arrow run, I would like to read the whole thing. I think it would be a really good candidate for a long run because
really, you like the Winnick stuff?
I do like the Winnick stuff.
Oh, I thought I was the only one.
No, I do like the Winnick stuff. And I think that there's like 7 or 8 volumes. I think it's a good length.
Well, it's 75 issues.
Yeah, so...
But then I would also want to include the Black Canary Green Arrow series that went after it, because that was the continuation.
And that wraps it up, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a really good long-run
candidate.
I would have a lot of fun talking about that. Umbrella Academy's been pitched at this point for like fucking 4 times or something. I'm just going to vote for that.
Nice. It's super fun. I really love it.
Because otherwise I'm not going to read it, because it's a prejudice I have about the whole like Gerard Way thing. So,
well, he was
Kayleigh can make that fucking noise until she dies.
Remember, he was intern at DC, living in New York, and then 9/11 happened, and he was like, you know what, I've always really wanted to do is go join a rock band, and he like did, and it blew up. But he was actually. It didn't blow up. It like got popular, and then he quit. But he wanted to do comics before he wanted to do
right.
So it's not like he comes at this as like I'm a big famous rock star who's gonna write a comic book,
and
now.
That's fine. I've always kind of been interested
not
in
Gene Simmons Dominatrix or whatever.
Oh my God.
Called. Can we read that instead?
No,
can I change my pitch?
No,
please.
This is a good comic that happens to be written by a rock star.
The Kiss Vampirella crossover story.
No thanks.
Brandon Hill has just reminded me that Dave Stewart colors it.
Yeah, the best colorist ever to have lit. No, I don't know. I don't know that I can possibly say that, but he's damn good. One of the best. And Gabriel Ba's art is fucking amazing. I like
Gabriel
Ba.
The
way he draws. So
yeah, Umbrella Academy.
Sweet. Kayleigh?
I am going to go with my perfect cinnamon roll and vote for Umbrella Academy. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Just gonna roll the cinnamon rolls.
I was also gonna vote for the Umbrella Academy.
There we go. And I can vote for it, too, because I didn't pitch it, even though I said it out loud.
There you go.
It's not my pitch, so I'm going to vote for it, too. So, boom. Unanimous.
Can I change my vote?
No.
I'd like to vote for Umbrella Academy.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. I can't believe you're not letting me change my vote.
Fuck you. Show canceled. I haven't had to say that in a while. But thank you for listening, everyone.
Yes.
Next week we'll be covering Umbrella Academy Volumes 1 and 2.
We're gonna
Send us your questions. We didn't get any questions this week.
Yeah, I think we forgot to post about it. I'm going to go and wring out my fucking skin.
Yeah, and we'll catch y'all next time. Thanks, everybody, for listening and supporting us.
Yes, we love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to View from the Gutters. I hope our recommendations have inspired you to go out and find some new comics you'll enjoy. Join us next time for a discussion of our selected title, but like every week, we encourage you to read all of the recommended books. In the meantime, please leave us an iTunes review. It really does help new listeners find the show. You can also like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube, and follow us on Twitter at ViewFRTHGutters. Feel free to email us at contact@viewfromthegutters.com. Please send us any questions, comments, or recommendations you might have. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as we post new videos every week. And thanks again for listening. And as always, keep reading.